Jay here, and today I'm talking about Gabions. I assemble and paint some miniature Gabions for Sludge, and talk about the history of the Gabion. This time, on JD in the Sump Sea. So many months ago, my friend Mark gave me a sprue of Gabions from the Renedra Limited Scenery Company from the UK. Link in the description below. I assembled these and painted them last week before heading off to the Snow Shovel Invitational Sludge event, which was last Saturday. I'll have another video coming up soon covering that event. But the Gabion model can be used for most any miniature games and can be made into scatter terrain, as I am doing in this video, or as more focused terrain, such as part of a trench line or artillery emplacement. But what is a Gabion? Well, the word Gabion comes from the Italian Gabion, meaning big cage, the Italian gabbia, the Latin cavia. There are many types of Gabions. They don't all look like the ones I'm making in this video. These Gabions that I am making would be seen on the battlefields during the Napoleonic Wars, and possibly up to World War I or II. They're basically wicker baskets with no tops or bottoms. They would be pre-constructed, then transported to the battlefield, and filled up with earth and stones, and used to shield artillery and sappers from enemy fire. The history of Gabions goes way farther back than Napoleon's time, however. Gabions were used possibly as far back as 7000 BC by the ancient Egyptians to help control the floodwaters of the Nile. Gabions are still used in civil engineering projects to this day for erosion control and to stabilize shorelines. These Gabion models are essentially three pieces. They have two sides and a top. The top is inset from the very top of the tube, and I think are meant to have small gravel or rocks glued to them. Well, that's at least what I'm doing. Since these don't have a base, I'll have to make one for them. I initially tried using foam board, but decided that it would be too thick and the models wouldn't be able to get right up to the Gabions, and I really did want the models to be able to butt right up to them. I tried a kind of medium thickness plastic card, and that seemed to do the trick. I then glued the Gabions down to the plastic card with super glue, cut some dowels, and glued them down as well. The dowels would act as bracers holding the Gabions up. I then used some wood glue and glued down a mix of finer and coarser gravel from Woodland Scenics. I also glued this gravel onto the top of the Gabions. After a day of drying, I mixed water, Mod Podge, and more of the gravel mixture, and then applied that all over the bases and on the top of the Gabions as well. I wanted to seal that gravel to the models and prevent it from flaking off as I painted it and as it was played with on the tabletop. After waiting another day for that to dry, I started painting. I wanted these to match the bases of the trees I had already painted for Sludge, and also the hills/readouts. I wanted this to be consistent with the rest of my Sludge board. I started with a dark brown on the base. I used Ceramcoat's brown velvet craft paint as the darker base color, and then, when that dried, I used tan from Craftsmart, which is available at Michael's, on the Gabions themselves. After the Gabions were base coated in that tan color, I painted the little sticks holding the Gabions up with a medium brown, again from Craftsmart. I dry brushed the bases and the tops with Territorial Beige, and then dabbed some of the velvet brown onto the sides of the Gabions to try and make them look dirty. I finished the paint job with a wash of Seraphim Sepia from Games Workshop on the wood poles and on the Gabions. I didn't wash the bases. I then used some wood glue mixed with some water and dabbed small patches of that onto the bases of the Gabions. I dipped the whole thing into some green sawdust to make it look like there's some grass in patches near them still. Well, that's all I have for you this time. Thanks for watching. please like and subscribe.